transforming device data into competitive advantage. We sincerely appreciate your presence today. We hope you find it interesting and insightful. Now I'll hand it over to my colleague Fernando Melchor, who will introduce our panel of experts.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining today. We're thrilled to have such an engaged audience of industry professionals, and we truly appreciate your participation. Before we dive in, just a few housekeeping items. Please feel free to ask in the chat all your questions through the presentation. The session is going to be recorded and shared with you. So today we have an exceptional lineup of telecom industry experts who will be sharing their insights in quality of signal, quality of experience, and the overall customer experience journey in the telecom industry. Our agenda is designed to give you strategic perspectives and ideas of how to tackle common industry challenges. So here's what we are covering today. We have Oscar Namuche, that is a telecom C-level executive, and he's going to talk about challenges on the emerging markets with a real example. We have Nick Jones, that is also a telecom C-level executive. He's going to talk about the device configuration, network performance challenges. Also, we have Santiago Gómez, Managing Director of Telecom Trust Consulting. He's going to talk about how to measure quality of signal and quality of experience. And we're going to close with Daniel Rivaren, product owner of Octolytics, talking about the features of the smart agent of OctoCX. And also Sergio Telles, sales engineer, is going to give a quick live demo of the tool. So with further, Estefania, I hand you the mic to introduce Oscar.
Yeah, thank you, Fernando. I am very pleased to introduce Oscar Namuche, our leading C-level expert in telecommunications. Oscar has acquired over 24 years of international experience, having led MVNOs in strategic business areas across several countries. As an executive consultant, he has built a deep understanding of MVNO's landscape, especially in complex and emerging markets environments. Thank you, Oscar, for being with us today. We love to hear your perspective on real-world cases in emerging markets.
Okay, thanks. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today to share some insights into real-world challenges in emerging telecommunications markets. As we all know, these markets offer a unique mix of opportunities and difficulties. Rapid growth, evolving customer expectations, fragmented device ecosystems, and infrastructure limitation often collide, creating a highly dynamic and complex landscape. Today, I'll walk you through concrete examples we've encountered in the field, highlighting the growing importance of customer experience, CX. Operators, especially MVNOs, are working hard to differentiate themselves not through infrastructure dominance, but through exceptional CX. This shift is becoming a key competitive advantage in markets where flexibility and agility matter more than scale. We'll also explore some of the technical challenges tied to modern network deployments. This includes ongoing 2G, 3G shutdowns, the often overlooked complexity of migrating legacy users to newer networks, and the value that apps with carrier privileges can offer, revealing insights and capabilities that traditional apps simply cannot. By grounding the discussion in real-world scenarios, I hope to offer more than just theory, practical takeaways that can help us navigate the realities of these fast-moving markets. For instance, in the case of Megacable and Sky in Mexico, both operating over APNs shared network and also AT&T network for Sky case, we face significant difficulties. Device configuration was a major challenge. Early churn reached up to 30%, driven largely by compatibility and provisioning issues. These cases illustrate just how critical proper device support and configuration are to customer retention, and how complex the challenge can become when dealing with fragmented device ecosystem.
Thank you so much, Oscar. We would love for you to elaborate a bit further on that. What factors do you consider critical before entering a new emerging market?
Okay, before entering an emerging market, we must understand customer needs and what services they value most and how much they are willing to pay for those services, doing a research of competitors' offer and upcoming services, and how we can create a competitive differentiation that can be the basis of our brand position.
Okay, I have another question. What role does pricing strategy play when competing in price-sensitive markets?
Okay, in my expertise, the clue is giving customers more value for money. It means being able to give more benefits for the same price they are paying to the competitors now. These benefits could be telco or not telco, maybe discounts in other services or products that the customer value most.
Okay, the last question is, how do MVNOs differentiate themselves from MNOs in these markets beyond the price?
In Mexican market, MVNOs differentiate themselves offering cross benefits that traditional carriers can't offer. For example, discounts in fixed services or discount in other products or services related to the core business of the company which launched the MVNO.
Okay, that's perfect. Amazing, your opinion. Thank you very much for your time, Oscar. I'll now hand it over to my colleague Fernando, who will introduce our the next expert.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to introduce you to Nick Jones. Nick leads the core network team at Omnitouch. He's responsible of designing and deploying the infrastructure that keeps data and voice and everything in between flowing reliably across some of the most remote and rugged parts of the world. Whether it's building a mobile core network in steaming jungles of the Amazon or setting up LTE in sub-zero wilderness in Arctic Alaska, Nick brings a spirit of adventure and a few cases of full radio gear wherever he goes. So if you're ever traveling and you see an antenna or a tower in a really dangerous place, probably that was set up by Nick and his team. And why does he do that? He is all about creating real dependable connectivity so people can call their loved ones, send messages, stream video, and check weather updates when it matters the most. So Nick, please, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Fernando, and good day. My name's Nick, obviously. So we're Omnitouch build mobile networks, and so today I'll talk a little bit about the impact that this better data has had in building networks we support and how this has helped with device config and network performance challenges. So previously, drive testing had been the only way that we could get sort of coverage and customer experience data from the network. But the data we got wasn't quality data that we got back from these drive tests. Because drive tests are like a freeze point in time. They take like a still image from a movie, but it doesn't tell us the full picture around the customer experience. So the data collected from, say, a train station in the middle of the day from a drive test won't represent how an end customer may experience the network at, say, that same train station in the middle of peak hour while sitting on the train platform. And so for us, the best way to understand the real life customer experience was to ask the customer. And in fact, we actually found the better way was to ask the customer's device to tell us how the customer is experiencing the network. And so that's what these intelligent agents do. And it's been a game changer for us because these intelligent agents are running on the customer's device and they're collecting real world experience data from the customer's device 24/7, not just at a single static point in time. So like a lot of you guys do, I'm sure, I spend a lot of my time on conference calls, and there's a point on my commute into the city where I know my coverage drops out and that any calls I'm on will drop. But with the smart agents, we can see this information as the operators, then we can target our investment in these areas we know our customers experience issues. So for most of the operators, radio access network, or the RAN, the towers, is the biggest capital expense. So having this higher quality data to guide our decision making as to where we invest is really invaluable to us. And so the smart data that we get from the smart agents gives us this data lake that can tell us everything from like how long it takes to load Instagram at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday outside the metro station. We can see all this data and we can use that to influence our decision making and our investments in the network. Because this sort of high quality decisions are made on top of high quality data, and these intelligent agents allow us to make these intelligent actions. So that's the drive test data collection component. But as we gathered this data, we started to see another key pain point that for a lot of these customers, configuration management wasn't what it needed to be. Customers sort of expect that when they pop out the sort of SIM card, that they put the SIM card in the phone and then it just works. But the issue that we saw was that wasn't always the case. We'd have to ask a customer to populate an APN setting or set like IPv4, IPv6, all this nerd stuff that end customers don't want to know about or think about. They just want the service to work. And with the carrier config on Android phones, we've got this superpower that allows us to manage configuration on the device that other apps just can't, because we've got the carrier privileges. And through that, we can make sure that everything just works. We can preload everything on the APNs. We can preload all of the IMS and the VoLTE configuration, tethering, the Wi-Fi calling. All this stuff equates to having a great customer experience from the start and making sure that customer experience is maintained without relying on the customer to update settings on a device or deal with those ugly parts of the network plumbing that they really shouldn't have to worry about. So then the last component that I'll touch on is how this impacts the network evolution. So there's a really clear cost benefit for the networks that we operate to decommission the 2G and the 3G networks as soon as possible. It's a massive cost saving that's available by sunsetting these 2G and 3G networks, but it's got to be done without interruption to service. And so all the data that we've collected has shown us sort of how close, but also how far many of these operators are from switching off 2G and 3G. So as we've seen from the data that we collected on the coverage side, we can see where we're missing 4G, 5G coverage, where today we have 2G, 3G coverage, and we can use this data to sort of surgically target the investment in the network to fill in any of these gaps that we might have using this real world data, and then we can validate in real time when we turn up a new site that it's patched that coverage hole and that now there's better coverage in those areas. But turning off the 2G and the 3G networks needed more than just, having full coverage. We also had to make sure that people could take advantage of that coverage. And a lot of what we saw on the carrier config side and on the device configuration side was phones that were still using 2G and 3G to fall back for voice calls. But by having the carrier config component from OctoCX, we were able to manage the configuration to make sure that those devices were correctly configured for VoLTE and IMS and know how much coverage they've got. So we could pair these two things together to have a much better picture of where we were at in terms of progressing for a 2G, 3G shutdown. So the complete picture of the configuration of the device and the coverage of the network means that we can cleanly execute these 2G and 3G shutdowns without impacting customers. So thanks for listening. If you've got any questions, drop them in the Q&A box. And now I'm going to hand over to Santiago.
I think just before that, Nick, I have a couple of questions.
Fire away.
Yeah, regarding that, like the shutdown of 2G and 3G and the 5G deployment accelerating, what are the challenges that operators are discovering in the configurations that they are seeing in the devices? What are the specific challenges? Yeah.
The biggest thing is this circuit switch fallback, which is this safety net of if everything else fails, falling back to using 2G and 3G for voice calls.
Yeah.
And it's only now that we're looking to remove that safety net that it becomes clear to these operators how reliant they were on it. If they've got a customer on the network today that's falling back to using 2G or 3G to make a call, it'll still work until we turn off the 2G or the 3G network. And that's really a device management thing of making sure that the device has got VoLTE enabled and reconfiguring the device to force VoLTE to be enabled if it's not enabled today. And on the device side, that's been the biggest challenge we see in operators shutting down their 2G and 3G.
Okay. And another question, how do carrier configuration bundles work on Android devices? If you can elaborate that.
Yeah, we've only got a very short window, so I'm not going to go on my standard rant about how carrier bundles work. But essentially, you work with each MNO to get, with each phone manufacturer. So if you imagine all the different OEMs of phones out there, operators will typically have to work with each of them to get their settings loaded into that device. So if you think about all the different phone brands, working with each of the different phone brands to say, hey, we are this network, here's the settings that we need loaded in. And so you have to go device by device by device. Often there's commercials that you've got to go through. So you must buy a certain number of phones before they'll talk to you, which really makes it very difficult to ensure that a customer bringing their own device to your network doesn't work out, has to work out of the box. But this is something that the Octo SDK has addressed for us, because we can say it doesn't matter what phone you're on. If you've got the SDK, we can make sure using this carrier config component, we can make sure it will work out of the box.
Perfect. And just the last one, what can apps with carrier privilege do that regular apps can't?
Everything. So Android realized, or the Google team realized, that telcos needed more control of the devices, at a level of control on the device that regular apps don't have. You know, your Maps app doesn't need to be able to reconfigure a bunch of radio parameters on the phone, but your carrier does. So how the carrier privileges works is we put a special file on the SIM card that matches the app that we load, and that special file gives us like a superpower to access everything from the VoLTE settings to the tethering settings to the Wi-Fi handover to every parameter you can imagine, we can control. And with Octo SDK, we can control it centrally so that we can make sure we've got the right settings for the right device.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nick.
You're welcome.
Steph, please.
I have to present the next expert. Now it's time to hear from a key contributor to this webinar, Santiago Gómez, who brings over 30 years of experience in telecommunications industry, having worked with major players like Ericsson and Telefónica. Santiago has deep expertise in quality of service and quality of experience, and his knowledge of both MVNO and MNO is highly relevant to the goals of today's session. Thank you for joining us, Santiago. Please share your insights about quality of service and quality of experience measurements.
Okay, thank you very much, Stefania. My colleagues, Oscar and Nick, have started presenting the challenges that the operators are facing nowadays, especially with the evolution of the networks and what are the end customer experiencing. Then let me share different views about what quality of service is regarding from a network perspective and the impact in the different operators, and also what is the quality of experience from a customer point of view. Starting with the quality of service, most of the operators, usually the MNOs, the operators that own their own radio network, have had the tools and the capacity to understand and to plan and optimize their network with the tools that are specifically designed for that. Okay, but this is a network perspective. This is not from a operator or a subscriber point of view, but from the operator point of view. On the other side, in the very last years, we have seen a lot of different solutions, mostly based on crowdsourcing. That means getting data from millions or hundreds of thousands from subscribers about what is the perception of the subscriber and how are they using that services, and learning about the patterns and the perception of the subscribers that are receiving. In both cases, it's a partial view on the quality of experience, because in the first case it's a perspective from the network, and in the second case we have an anonymous view on the experience from the different subscribers and operators. There is another alternative that is what my colleagues are going to present later on, is just to have a real-time view on what is the real experience of the customer, and also when there is some real-time interaction between the customer and the operator, that you can know not only what are the, let's say, the indicator, the KPIs that are receiving the quality of the signal, etc., but also to know about the details on the device of the subscribers, the location, and everything in real time. This is really a different approach to the customer experience. Also, as you mentioned, I'm expert in MVNOs. Then it's a very special case, because most of the MVNOs worldwide do not have any access to the real view on what's going on the radio access networks. But with this kind of tools that is based on devices, as Nick explained, you can know from many different, or from hundreds or thousands of devices that are connected to your network, what is going on the network, and then you have a real time and a real view on what happens, and also if there is some incidents or any impact on the network, just to know how are that customer's perception. Then we have all those views. The network perspective is very important for an operator, but also to understand what's going on from a customer perspective, and especially for our customers, for the not anonymous or crowded from millions of subscribers, but to know what's going on with our own subscribers, what are they perceiving from our services, and also just to react in real time as fast as possible. That is my sharing my view on these solutions.
Thank you for your insights, Santiago. Now, if you don't mind, we would like to ask you a few questions related to this topic. For example, what's driving the shift from network-centric NetCo to customer-centric measurement SEPCO, and how should operators think about quality of service versus quality of experience?
Yeah, this new the layer model is a trend in the telecom industry. Then separating the netcos, the operators that are operating a network, and those ServCos that in most of the cases are equivalent to a mobile virtual network operator, because most of them are just providing services. And then it's very related to my previous speech, is that the network operator should focus on the quality of the services from a network perspective, that everything, every service that is provided to the ServCos is in a quality according to the SLAs contracted, while the ServCos, those companies that are focusing on the services, should be more worried or concerned about the perception from the customer. Then this is the real relationship between this quality of experience, the customer experience from that kind of operators, and also the difference with a NetCo that should be focusing all the efforts and all the knowledge on that network perspective. That's
perfect. I have another question. How customer experience excellence has become to the primary competitive differentiator for operators, especially for MVNOs competing against larger players?
Well, this is the key question that any new MVNO asks a consultant is that what should I do to success in the market? Then competing only on price is really difficult. It's most of the MVNOs has decided which niche of customers will attack and will focus on. Then it should be especially the most of the successful cases that I know were very focused and have a strong effort on customer experience, and any tool that lets them know the customer with in a very close way, it's a key just to succeed against the big operators that with for mass subscribers that can compete on pricing much more than these specialized MVNOs.
And the last one, what are the main difference between crowdsourcing data with third-party apps versus using personalized agents for network diagnosis?
Good. It's a very good question because the approach is totally different. Usually, crowdsourcing does not differentiate among the different subscribers from different operators. Just map what's going on in a specific region with a specific technology, etc. But it's really anonymous, and it should be that way. It should be that way. And this is very useful for big operators and also be useful for regulators, for instance. But when you are talking about taking care for your own customers, the approach should be, as we say, just a personalized and that we know exactly for the customer that is calling our customer care service, what is its real situation, location, device model and brand, configuration, etc. This is the real difference between this kind of approaches. Is just to know about our customers and the details, and also in real time against this anonymous and usually not real time because it requires a long time, 24, 48 hours just to process all this big data and to map everything. That's the different approaches. My understanding is that they are not competing but complementing each other.
Mhm. That's perfect. Thank you for your time, for your insights, Santiago. I'll now hand it over to my colleague, Fernando, who will introduce our next experts. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Steph. Here we have Daniel Iribarren and Sergio Telles. Daniel is the product manager or owner at Octolytics. He is basically the voice of the customer inside the company, and he's always looking to create the product that meets the expectations of the clients. He has experience doing device performance measurements, advanced analytics and automation for customer support. And Sergio is Octolytics sales engineer. He has been developing Android solutions for the last 6 years, over 6 years, and he is going to give us a little demo of the Octolytics customer CX smart agent. Please, Danny.
Hi, thank you. We are going to present our solution in a live demo. Basically, as we talked before, we provide a smart agent that runs at device level that helps the device in a proactive way to diagnose and auto-configuration features. It can be very easily integrated into the operator app. With the integration, we provide a package that can be in few hours integrated within different frameworks like React Native, Flutter, Ionic, or even Android native. So with this functionality, we provide all the features and the power to provide, for example, pass point configuration, VoLTE, APN, network selection. So in order to show you, let's deep dive in a demo. I'm going to share a screen of a real device. As you can see, here I am in a device of a mobile operator called Namuche. I am going to see and go through the configuration of this device. Here, we can see in the network, we can see the SIM, and currently the device is perfectly configured. Now I'm going to misconfigure the device. I'm going to turn off roaming. I'm going to turn off VoLTE calls, and also I am going to misconfigure APN setups. So I am going to remove, and now the device is misconfigured. So now imagine a situation where the user have this device with this configuration and insert the SIM for the first time and goes to download the app of your MVNO and install the app. App is downloading. This is the first time the user's on board on the network. Device is misconfigured. Now downloads the app, and now is where the magic is going to start to happen. Logins into the app, give the permissions. Okay, now the app is starting. The user login, see his plan, and the magic is happening in the background. As you can see, the device receives a push notification notifying the user that roaming needs to be enabled. In this case of this operator, roaming is needed as a part of the rule of the configuration because the coverage of the main network is not always in all the the cities where the user can move. So it needs to goes into local roaming. So in order to device to function properly, roaming needs to be configured. But also, we can see that our smart agent run in the background. And if I can see now in the list, VoLTE is set up, and also APN was already set up. As you remember, I misconfigured at the beginning. Roaming, the user need to do it by individually. It cannot be do it automatically. And now the device is fully configured and working. And if we can verify that into the setting of the device, I go into the network connection, as you can see. And as you remember, I turn off roaming, I turn off VoLTE calls, 4G calls, and in the APN configuration, now I can see the APN properly configured. So this is a very, our solution do many things on this, but in terms of device configuration, you can see how a routine can be set up in order to provide the proper configuration for the device. Thank you.
Sergio?
Okay, perfect. Hello to everyone. Thank you for your time to be here. I'll share my screen. All right. One second. Okay. Right. So as we just saw, our agent is able to configure the phone, but what else can do for us? We mentioned before the importance of having this integral vision of quality of service and quality of experience. So our agents gives the power to understand what's going on with both things at the same time. So we are able to, for example, put a signal quality score on a heat map, or we can understand different benchmarks between cell towers, or manufacturers, or different networks providers. And with all of this data, we are able to create early warning systems to enable proactive intervention before the customer experience degrades. So the point here is to avoid that the final user notice there's something wrong with their service, right? This makes us really proactive, and we have all the data that we need. So I'm going to share with you one of our tools that it's called DeviceX. Okay, so in this case, we are able to see in a granular way what's going on with each one of our users, or with the services we are providing. In here, for example, we have a device, and we can see all the relevant information about this device. Which SIM is using, if it's connected to a Wi-Fi, battery level, if it has the GPS active, if it has the different service we are providing active, characteristics, specifics from the device, like manufacturer, model, email, type allocation code, system operator version. We can see the different permissions that the user has given to the agent. And this is super interesting. We are able to see if the user has more than one SIM in the phone, and if it has marked one of these for as a favorite for messages, or for data, or for calls. Also, we have all the history to better understand how our users are using the service, right? And this gives us a lot of power to better understand how can we give to the user a better service. If we choose any of the buttons that we see on the top, we can see in more detail what's going on with the services, starting with the information of the SIM. We are going to be able to see what's the IMSI, what's the ICC ID, the service provider. And in this case, we see that this client has a problem with the APN internet, right? With the internet APN. So with this, we have all the important information to give a better customer service, right? Let's imagine this user is not able to navigate, or to use the data to navigate in the web, or to use their apps. So he will be calling, and if we don't have a powerful tool that let us know what's going on, that user is going to have a bad time, and the customer service department is going to spend a lot of resources while trying to give support. That's why our tool is a game changer, because we have all the relevant information in one place with all the history that has been going on, right? So as our colleagues just mentioned before, having the ability to understand what's going on with the service give us or give you as an operator a lot of power to compete and to focus on quality, not only price. If I go back, I can see how it has been the performance on Kali. In this case, we see that we are actually with a connection on IMS, which is something super important. And it's the same thing with SMS. So this tool has many details. We can go through it in more detail if you are willing to. At the end, Stephanie is going to share with us a contact so we can arrange a demo in more detail, because there's something else I want to share with you. It's another tool that is called Signal Explorer. 1 second. Okay, it is here. All right, so with all this data, we can also look at the big picture and understand better what's going on with the service. Here we can see some dashboards. We have many of them to understand better what's going on in every detail, right? So for example, here in Mexico, we can understand how is the performance for each state. And this is really powerful because we are, as Nick mentioned before, we are not doing a static measure. We are doing a real measure that tells us the real experience that the user is having. This is a game changer. Normally, you wouldn't be able to understand what's the device configuration, for example, and also what's the performance of the cell tower. So in here, we have both of things that give us a lot of power. Here, for example, we can see for each network tower, how is the performance going on? Here, for example, we have a benchmark between different manufacturers. This is really, really powerful. So we can focus on the devices that perform better with our network. For example, we see here these devices perform really, really nice with our network. Xiaomi, for example. And we can see all the other devices that might not be performing as well. We have a lot of KPIs, more than 200, to understand what's going on with the quality of service. In this table, we can see the average of SRP, RSRQ, RSSE, or RSNR. This works for all the network generation from 2G to 3G, 4G, 5G. And once we have 6G, we for sure are going to be able to measure all this quality of service, which is really important. Also, we are able to understand what's the performance of the network when we are on roaming with other network operators. In this case, we see different network operators over here. These are network operators from Mexico. And we can see how each one of them are performing. This is also super powerful. Sometimes MVNOs don't have this data, or it's not possible to measure it, and we have it available so you can take decisions that matters in the company. I'm going to show you really quick another of our dashboards. In this case, we are doing a regional study of how the network is performing on Chiapas. This is a state in Mexico. So as you can see here in the map, you can look in specific municipalities, in specific states, and understand granularly what's going on in each part of the region, right? So for example, here, in the bottom of the graphic, we can see the different municipalities that are inside our network, right? That offer our service, and we can assign a signal quality score to each of these municipalities to better understand where we have to focus commercially or technically, where we should build infrastructure, where we have a really good service and we don't have enough customers. Here, this is super interesting. As you can see, we can create heat maps. These heat maps are not statics. They are not simulated. This is real information from the devices of the users. And yeah, it's important to mention our focus is the service. Our focus is how the user is perceiving the service, not the user. So we are really careful with that. And you can see that really quickly, you can understand how is the service performing, where we should put focus, and in real time. Here, for example, we can see in red, how is the signal score performing across time? And with green, gray, we can see the average of the state, right? I choose the biggest municipality in the state. That's why it's so similar. But right away, we can send notifications, alerts, when we notice that a specific municipality is getting down of the average, for example. We can understand, for example, also the percentage of roaming connections we are doing with our service, which as well is super powerful in real time. And also we can have a list of all the devices that are being measured in a specific region or are using a specific cell tower to better understand if the devices are actually well configured, right? And this is another example of how our integral solution works. From one way, we understand or you understand the user experience, and from another way, you understand the quality of service.
Perfect. Thank you, Sergio. I think we're not gonna have more time to continue with the demo. Let's just wrap up and
Sure.
yes,
Okay.
just to summarize everything, what I want to share is that in all the stages of customer experience, the OctoCX Smart Agent is helping to close these gaps. During the onboarding, the auto configuration is reducing evaporation, reducing support cost, reducing churn rate, and support is way more easy thanks to tools like one-click ticket, device X that gives you all the context on the device, and also the AI support agent that we will have the chance later to show you. Also, all this data that we're collecting, customer experience data that we're collecting, give us this observability that clients didn't have before, and this leads to business intelligence, customer segmentation, and eventually you can come up with your own strategies to reduce customer acquisition cost, create personalized offers, increase customer time value, and eventually link net NPS with real quality of signal measurements. And that's everything that I have for you guys. Now I pass it to Stefania to close the webinar.
Thank you for your valuable input, Fernando. To wrap up, I would like to close this webinar with a brief summary of the business impact that Octolytics can deliver. Our platform empowers your business to achieve operational efficiency by streamlining user management and reducing contact-related costs. Simultaneously, we enhance the user experience from the very first interaction, improving early engagement and significantly extending the average user life cycle. We help increase user retention and prevent deactivations due to inactivity through automated monitoring of device configuration, service quality, and network performance. This proactive approach ensures users stay connected and satisfied. By reducing operational expenses and boosting customer lifetime value, our solution ultimately improves your operating margin. Finally, you will see a measurable reduction in churn and corresponding increase in revenue, driving sustainable business growth. Thank you very much for attending this webinar. We hope you found it viable and informative. If you are interested, we offer the opportunity to implement a proof of concept for the first 100 users. For more information, please contact us in Octolytics webpage. Thank you so much and have a nice day.